Hi everyone, it's Jay here, and these are the manga and manhwa releases for the first half of October. Starting with the Kodansha releases, Before You Go Extinct. A humble rock is at the centre of this transmigratory tale of two souls who take the form of penguins, otters, crows, and more as they learn about the value of culture, the beauty of play in the face of capitalist pressure to produce and reproduce, and the power of love in the face of total annihilation. Isaac Omnibus Volume 3. The year is AD 1620. Europe is riven with the conflagrations that will grow into the 30 Years' War. Catholic and Protestant forces clash across battlefields ruled by sword and gunpowder alike, and mercenaries of every stripe ply their trade. Among them is Isaac, a lone Japanese warrior wielding a matchlock gun of strange design, on a sworn mission to find and kill the man who murdered his master and fled Japan for the other side of the world. This omnibus contains volumes 5 and 6. Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin Deluxe Volume 2. The original best-selling 12-installment English release is now being turned into 6 oversized hardcover volumes. The Dashing Zaddy and His Icy Protégé Volume 3. Just when it seems like things are starting to go well for Hiwatari, a clip of Takanashi at the Itsuboshi Appreciation Sale goes viral, turning the Dashing Zaddy into a pop culture sensation overnight. While that's great for the company, Hiwatari now has to compete for Takanashi's attention and time, with the whole of Japan. When Takanashi's address is leaked to the paparazzi, he moves in with Hiwatari. Now that they're living under one roof, how can either of them deny their feelings for each other anymore? The Fable Omnibus Volume 10. This edition includes volumes 19 and 20, with a duel between the uncanny assassin Akira and the globe-trotting killer Azami. What will be the fate of Yoko and Misaki? The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity Volume 9. Rintaro and Kaoruko reach an important relationship milestone when Rintaro formally introduces himself to her brother and mother. However, before they can make another leap forward, Kaoruko's friend from Kikyo discover them mid-date. At school, Subaru tries to erase the other girls' minds about their Chidori friends, even suggesting they meet the boys for themselves. Rintaro wants to offer his support too, and comes up with a very visible way to show it. Versus Volume 4. Despite their best efforts, humanity's last stronghold is under attack. Pitting their natural enemies against each other might have bought them a little bit of time, but their destruction is imminent if they can't find a way to escape. Surrounded on all sides by demons, aliens, and the biggest threat yet, the Mega Kaiju, the mages of Sorcerian use their one remaining trump card. Windbreaker Volume 15. Sakura and his friends find themselves fighting a desperate defensive battle against ex-Furin students. Sakura and Sugishita set aside their differences, and with their powers combined, take down part of the fearsome Noroshi. Their victory is short-lived, however, as Endo and Takeshi, two former students with an infamous track record, have entered the fray and the park is about to be breached. Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun Volume 16. After Asmodeus sacrifices his chance at the champion's crown to save Iruma and Clara from danger, it's up to Iruma to carry the misfit class's hope for victory. But does he have it in him to pull off the upset and seize the title of Young King? Blue Lock Episode Nagi Volume 5. Things are looking dire for Nagi, following a gut-wrenching loss to Rin's team. Nagi, Barrow and Chigiri must find a way to claw their way back in the next match, yet that might be easier said than done. As the trio takes the field against Nico, Zantetsu and Hiragi, they soon learn that Hiragi's fortune-telling abilities are more than just a party trick. How do you beat a guy who can predict your every move? I Want You Till Your Dying Day Volume 5. Upon discovering her powerful magic, Sheena spends her days training, desperately longing for a way to protect Mimi from bodily harm and suffering. However, as an immortal soldier, Mimi refuses Sheena's attempts to contribute to the war efforts. This rejection causes tension between the two, and love may not be enough to heal Sheena's wounded heart. Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms Volume 13. Mona Kawai has her work cut out for her, as her two biggest love rivals, her best friend Tomo and her talented underclassman Asahi, start making power moves in the race to win the heart of the one guy in school nobody can seem to pin down, Medaka. With one asking the elusive monk out on their first date, and the other putting those 3 fateful little words into play, things are starting to look very dicey for the reigning Queen Bee. Shimazaki in the Land of Peace, Volume 6. Former covert operative Shingo Shimazaki has rescued the boy called Sata from the LEL and yearns to make a connection with this young man in whom he sees a reflection of himself. But Sata refuses to accept the truth about the LEL and rejects Shimazaki's every attempt at friendship. As the seemingly placid days pass by, Shimazaki's struggle to win Sata over takes him deep into the recesses of his own dark past. After We Gazed at the Starry Sky, Volume 3. Recently engaged and cherishing every moment they spend together, life is as sweet as can be for Subaru Togo. When Togo suggests they hold a small ceremony and take wedding photos, Subaru is over the moon. But knowing Togo's past, he feels it's only right to give the idea proper consideration. Still, as long as they have each other, it might not be so daunting to take the next step towards their happily ever after in this final volume of the series. From Titan Comics, Outsiders Volume 2. The supernatural underworld becomes even more entangled in everyday life, as Emma and Tamaki's pact thrusts them deeper into a world of intrigue and danger. To keep an eye on each other, Emma, a high school student, takes up a job at an enigmatic design agency run by the vampire Tamaki, but she quickly learns of its hidden side. It doubles as a shadow detective agency. Partnering with Shin Manabe, a police officer with ties to the werewolf community, they dive into a web of mystery involving supernatural beings concealed amongst humans. Isekai Metaler Volume 1. Alexei is a die-hard metalhead who, after getting electrocuted during his band's farewell gig, wakes up in a world full of dragons, werewolves, and monsters that are just begging for a guitar solo. The afterlife isn't quite what he imagined. Instead of a peaceful resting place, he's been dropped into a land where metalheads would literally die for the chance to live on. From Sublime, Sleeping on Paper Boats Volume 1. Kei Kitahara, a visionary screenwriter who has taken post-war Japan by storm, has made the difficult decision to lay down his pen for good after he realises the people he's been basing his characters on have all met unfortunate ends. He spends his days in misery, waiting to die, until a reason to live finds him in the gutter, too drunk and beaten to move. Kei can't help but be attracted to his saviour's bewitching innocence, and the urge to write about him grows stronger by the day. Knowing he can't take the risk, he vows never to use his pen against him, but will temptation prove too great? Ask and You Will Receive Volume 3. It was hard enough for Shinobu to handle his one-night stand morphing into a real relationship, but now he has to deal with a man from Hikaru's past showing up out of the blue. Osuke Ikurumi, Hikaru's mentor and the company's sales king, is back in the office after a stint overseas, and his first order of business is doting on his protege. Suddenly, Hikaru can't stop bringing the guy up in conversation, so Shinobu has to shut him up, with a kiss. Too bad it happens in the bathroom at work, where Osuke overhears them. From Ablaze, Centaurs Volume 5. Long before Matsukaze was a mighty stallion, he was a young foal living and playing in the forested mountains of his homeland, learning the traditional ways of life from his family and from nature. While coexistence with their living environment is essential, a matter of mutual respect, coexistence with the encroachment of humankind is another thing entirely. Savage Garden Omnibus Volume 3. When Gabriel unexpectedly becomes the reason for an argument between Aaron and Marianne, one of the trio begins a quest towards starting a new life. That same night, a tragic accident occurs on the estate. Meanwhile, Ewan has an unusual proposal for his father, which the patriarch of the Kensington family may be forced to accept. Savage Garden is a shoujo fantasy, a dark, gender-bending tale with a romantic triangle that will keep you intrigued till the end. This omnibus collects the final 3 Korean volumes, volumes 5, 6 and 7, into English for the first time. From Viz Media, Astro Royale Volume 2. After recruiting Kuran, the head of the Ikebukuro branch, Hibaru and Terasu learn that the Hawk faction has been stealing astrolinks, the source of people's astro powers, and that their older brother is one of the victims. It's up to Hibaru's gang to help restore his astro. Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Volume 3. When Jura and Hidari launch an attack against Konoha, they quickly set their sights on Naruto's daughter, Himawari. As the fighting heats up and Boruto joins the fray, Himawari reveals that she is harbouring a surprising power. Chainsaw Man Volume 19. With the disappearance of Nayuta, Denji finds himself in the grasp of a deep depression. He decides to eat away the pain, but at a sushi restaurant, Denji will be confronted with an unimaginable tragedy. Dandadan Volume 15. Okarun and the others start a research club with the goal of finding his missing family jewel. As they prepare to get their new club up and running, they can't help but feel suspicious of their assigned advisor, Mr. Sanjome, of whom they strangely have no memory. Kamudo Volume 1. In the utopian nation of Ryujinkyo, Kamuna, a boy born with the form of a human and the left hand of a dragon, grapples with his identity in a society that both questions and fears his existence. As he begins his training in the ancient art of Ryuken, his determination to prove himself fuels a growing rivalry with the fierce demi-dragon Gindu. Meanwhile, tensions simmer beneath the surface as factions outside Ryujinkyo grow restless, seeking to control the divine pulse that sustains the land. Marriage Toxin Volume 9. Thanks to the help of Soundmaster Naruko, Gero is fully recovered and ready to rescue Himi from the wedding from hell. But Ghostmaster Sakazuki is lying in wait, with plenty of tricks up his sleeve. And even if Gero can figure out how to save Himi, will he ever realise her true feelings for him? Moan Junji Ito's Story Collection. Legendary horror author Junjo Ito presents 6 stories in this volume. A dark evil lurks in the unreachable depths of a pipe, groaning out moans that echo through the house of a germaphobe mother and her daughters. In another tale, flowers blooming in the shape of eyeballs are only the beginning of the strange phenomena surrounding a mysterious transfer student. Could he have supernatural abilities? Also, a man in a village deep in the mountains shares memories of his wife. What happened to her after she said she would give freely of her blood? Not Your Idol Volume 3. Nina Kamiyama is a former idol who left the industry after being assaulted by a stalker. She's changed her name and hidden her identity to move on from her past trauma, but a jealous high school classmate is intent on destroying her fragile recovery. Otaku Vampire's Love Bite Volume 5. Kyuta's having a hard time bouncing back after being attacked at the vampire bar, so Hina decides to drag him to some cute animal therapy at the zoo. But things definitely don't go as planned when Mao's voice actor crashes their date. Ordinarily, Hina would be thrilled to bump into her fave, but Rinya has too many secrets and asks too many questions for her to enjoy the occasion. Not to mention that his presence is ruining any benefit the cute animals had on Kyuta's mood. Pink Candy Kiss Volume 3. Takara wants to pour every last drop of her love into Emma, despite knowing that one day it'll all be over. Getting to know Haruo, Emma's kind husband, only leaves Takara racked with even more guilt and jealousy. Can she get closer to Emma without tearing apart her marriage? Tamon's B-Side Volume 9. When Tamon's big brother Daiki comes to Tokyo, he accidentally gets a glimpse of the F-Ace members' true selves, and immediately wants to take Tamon back home. It seems something with Tamon's past has made Daiki overprotective, something the idol doesn't want Utage to know about. The Bugle Call Song of War Volume 3. The Holy Realms Branch Squad takes on a new mission to the Kingdom of Gallia, the Land of Mirrors. There they will seek the aid of its protector, the powerful Branched, known as the Looking Glass, to help them defeat the Garland. But Gallia is embroiled in a civil war, and convincing the Looking Glass will mean taking sides in a deadly conflict. What the Looking Glass wants in exchange for her help may be more than Luca is willing to give up. Vampire Night Memories Volume 10. Even after the diplomatic marriage between Ai and Taro, peace between humans and vampires remains precarious. Ren desires to have the weapon to protect peace, but Ai chooses to distance herself to avoid losing those who are dear to her. Meanwhile, Yuki looks back on her sin of desiring eternity for Zero. Beyblade X Volume 4. Team Persona has blazed their way through the X in no time and reached a showdown at the top. But just as victory seems within reach, a mysterious figure appears, Blader Y. A new Bay battle begins with Xenon City as its backdrop, and as if that weren't enough, Blader Z enters the fray. Case Closed Volume 96. A serial killer is targeting female police officers. Can traffic cops Yumi and Mike solve the case before they become the next victims? Then, Conan and Harley take on a literal cold case, stopping the Kaito kid from stealing a pearl frozen in a block of ice. And Serena's boyfriend gets a gig as a stuntman, only to become a potential suspect when an actor is killed on set. Destroy All Humans, They Can't Be Regenerated, a Magic the Gathering manga, Volume 5. Happy New Year 1999. It's the Grand Prix Kyoto, the year's first big Magic the Gathering tournament, where players assemble from all over the country to test their skills and prove their worth. Hajime Kano will be up against mighty foes, but he'll also encounter a challenge of a different sort, an unexpected romance. Disney Twisted Wonderland the manga Book of Savannah Claw, Volume 2. When strange accidents occur during the Interdorm Spell Drive tournament, figuring out who's behind them is only the beginning of Yu's challenges. Mysteries and complications abound as she navigates the tricky job of being a prefect of Ramshackle Dorm at Night Raven College. Firefly Wedding Volume 4. Satoko's bodyguard, Kotaro, comes to her rescue at last, but Satoko can't quite bring herself to celebrate. If she leaves now, it means saying goodbye to Shinpei, the assassin who has saved her life time and time again. Making matters worse, seeing Satoko with Kotaro ignites a fierce jealousy in Shinpei that drives him to challenge Kotaro to an explosive showdown. As the two men clash, the truth behind Satoko's kidnapper comes to light. Hayate the Combat Butler Volume 46. The Hakuro class trip started on the icy slopes, but now it's heating up. In the South American jungles, students face off against wild animals, terrorists, and an icky spider, but the real danger comes from within, as Hayate decides it's time to get serious about winning the trip's elimination contest. Can the class survive a combat butler in full combat mode? Kill Blue Volume 3. In the middle of a double date, Ogami abruptly reverts to his middle-aged body, and to make things worse, Noren is abducted while he's indisposed. Ogami follows her abductors and finds himself face to face with two members of the world's largest murder-for-hire syndicate. Will he and Tenma be able to pry Noren from their clutches? A new series called Phantom Busters. Straight-A student Eugene Korikishi doesn't believe in ghosts, but his classmate, Mogari, is an exorcist who chomps on them whole. Mogari can't see ghosts on his own, so once he and Eugene meet someone with the sight, there's only one path left: to form an exorcist club at school and have a great time doing it. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Volume 3. Violet and Arven attempt to improve their battle skills through their encounters with wild Pokemon and Team Star in preparation to face the Titan Pokemon. Rainbows After Storms Volume 6. Mai, an underclassman with a crush on Nanoha, finds out about Nanoha and Chidori's secret. Her very presence sows discord between the usually inseparable couple. Can Nanoha and Chidori overcome these communication issues without letting frustration get the best of them? Yaiba Samurai Legend Volume 2. Yaiba, accompanied by the 400-year-old Musashi Miyamoto and his friends, embarks on a training journey so he can defeat Onimaru. Onimaru, now a demon, has seized control of Japan and turned the Parliament building into Onimaru Castle. His sights are set on Raijinken, Yaiba's Thunder God sword, and he'll stop at nothing to get it. From Seven Seas Entertainment, Our Dining Table, Seconds Please, Volume 1. Yutaka and Minoru have gone from friends to lovers and made a loving home for themselves and Tane-kun. As their relationship grows, so do their joys and worries, but one thing stays the same: they always have warm meals to share around the table. See how their little family shares love and delicious food in this collection of short stories. I'm the Heroic Knight of an Intergalactic Empire Volume 1. This is a manga adaptation of the light novel series, set in the same universe as I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. Ever since she saw Count Banfield valiantly protect her home planet from space pirates, Emma Rodman has wanted to be a knight. Unfortunately, her final test at the Knights Academy has earned her a D ranking, the lowest of the low. What a disaster. Now she's relegated to a remote border planet, and her squad are a bunch of useless layabouts. Should she call it quits, or will this isolation give her room to grow and shine? The Lying Bride and the Same-Sex Marriage Debate Volume 1, a new drama-filled Yuri series about two total opposites rediscovering the meaning of love and happiness. Shigesawa Rei has accepted that her life is different from most. While her friends are settling down with families, she's devoted herself to her work as a gay woman in a world that doesn't always feel built for her dreams. But everything changes when she bumps into Goto Saya, a former co-worker who once captured her heart. Petite, charming, and ever popular, Saya seems like she's walked straight out of Rei's past fantasies, except this time, she's asking for Rei's help after a falling out with her husband. Opening her home to Saya should have been simple, but with each passing moment, old feelings bubble to the surface and Rei finds herself trapped between desire and restraint. Otonari Complex Volume 5. Akira and Makoto have graduated from childhood friends to lovers, but they can't find a moment to be together, and as they work to keep their relationship secret, Makoto's ex-girlfriend pops up. See how it all ends in this final volume. The Missing O Volume 3. All the clues Mr. O left behind lead to Hong Min-hye. Tall and handsome, check. Purveyor of bad puns, check. Mysterious thigh tattoo, check. Min-hye even remembers the night he rescued Yun-sung 7 years ago. Surely Min-hye is the elusive Mr. O. The long search is over, so why isn't Yun-sung happy? 365 Days to the Wedding Volume 9. With the first meeting between the two families going worse than anyone could have expected. Uhara Takuya and Honjoji Rika find themselves at a crossroads. Will they let their relationship crumble over a disagreement, or will they finally find it within themselves to communicate? It's time to say all that's been left unsaid and rediscover what it truly was that made them turn their fake engagement into a real one. Tokyo Revengers, A Letter from Kisuke Baji, Volume 5. After hearing that someone was hunting down Yotsuya's remaining members, Ryusei Sato rushes to save his best friend with Kisuke Baji and Matsuno Chifuyu at his side. Now, Kojiro's older brother and Yotsuya's leader, Hishi Kensho, emerges from the shadows to get revenge on everyone responsible for his gang's crushing defeat, including its members who lost and his own brother. In order to stop Kensho, the First Division must set their differences with Kojiro aside and get through Yotsuya's elite members. Can they stand against a renewed Yotsuya on a bloody path of vengeance? This is Screwed Up, But I Was Reincarnated as a Girl in Another World, Volume 17. Ren, in the guise of the hero Silverlocks, has saved the town of Anil from the wrath of a giant. Par for the course, her good deed backfires, drawing attention from every single direction. Even the noble Sir Vector finds himself deeply interested in Ren. The group retreats to Ascalon, where yet another headache presents itself. Chillin' in Another World with Level 2 Super Cheat Powers Volume 11. Fleo finds himself in a bind when a trio of Jinn from the Dark World capture him. Until, that is, he turns the tables by claiming their powerful magic for his own, saving the last surviving wyvern of the mountains in the process. Meanwhile, the Jinn's master, Valentine, is in a bind of her own. She's trapped without a glimmer of magic left. Can Fleo and company rescue her before it's too late, and more importantly, should they? I quit my apprenticeship as a royal court wizard to become a magic item craftswoman, Volume 4. Just another day saving a town from monsters? Not quite. Ilya soon discovers the town is tied up in a conspiracy, one that could very well rock the entire nation to its core. Meanwhile, in the kingdom Ilya fled from, a few people have become suspicious of her death, including the Crown Prince himself. With truths threatening to come out in the open, will Ilya's dreams of living a craftswoman's simple life be shattered? Betrayed by the hero, I formed a MILF party with his mum, Volume 3. Salice's dream life with all the mothers of the hero's party members is close at hand. Slowly but surely, he's been recruiting the mothers of his former party members into his harem. Two mothers yet remain, Sayo, mother of the sage Mel, and Misaki, mother of the saint Maria. Determined to bring them in as his wives, he goes to talk to their current husbands. The trapped former villainess wants to escape from the sadistic prince, Volume 3. Anna is an ordinary office worker who was suddenly reincarnated as Anneli, a villainous noblewoman in an 18-plus otome game. One day, Anna discovers a large dog in the castle garden, and as the dog grows increasingly attached to her, she devises a plan to keep him a secret from Leinhard, at least until a handsome man with animal ears suddenly appears outside her window. Crossplay Love Otaku X Punk Volume 13. Unable to reveal his true self, Yuma, dressing as Hannah, continues to keep his secret and finds himself worried about their future together. As tension rises between the two, a certain incident slams into their lives, threatening to change their relationship forever. Can they truly keep hiding their true selves from one another? Stay by My Side After the Rain Volume 4. After vowing to spend the rest of their lives together, Kanade plans to celebrate Mashiro's birthday with a surprise, but things don't exactly go to plan. How will Kanade react when Mashiro does something that really ticks him off? Is their first trip away together destined for stormy weather? BL Game Rebirth My New Life as the Hero's Younger Brother Volume 2. Akira should be the happiest fan on Earth after reincarnating into a spicy BL game as the younger brother of the main character. But who knew that the other love interests, now having lost their chance with his brother, would chase after him? To make matters worse, an interesting new character joins the fray. Akira is learning that playing a dating game is one thing, actually being in one is a whole other experience. Reborn as a Barrier Master Volume 8. Reincarnated in another world as a slave, Linus was raised as an elite Barrier Master and is now the newly appointed Lord of Crumfall Territory. In his quest to bring the ruined town of Kairiku back to life, Linus dives into his new role with the help of his unlikely allies. Together they take on salt-damaged fields, rescue the overrun port, and attempt the impossible, restoring prosperity to a land where nature itself is hostile. Sensei's Mail Order Food, the complete BL manga collection, when novelist Enomura Haruka and shoujo artist Nakata Miruku are brought together by their publisher to collaborate on a new manga. It seems like a perfect match, until the two meet in person and realise just how different they are. Haruka is a bit of a sadist, with a cool guy personality, and he immediately clashes with Miruku, who's something of a masochist and doesn't match his bright shoujo style at all. There's one thing the two have in common, however, their love of gourmet food, especially the mail order variety. Can their passion for amazing food bridge the gap between them? Virgin Knight, I Became the Frontier Lord in a World Ruled by Women, Volume 1. Reborn from modern Japan into a medieval fantasy world where gender roles are flipped, Faust is an anomaly, a rare male knight. Raised as a frontier lord, his old world values clash hilariously with this new life. The Queen's attire leaves little to the imagination, and the busty Duke's friendly advances verge on harassment. Despite getting flustered in court, Faust is a dazzling hero on the battlefield, whose prowess can turn the tide of any battle. When Faust is tasked with advising Princess Valiel on her first mission, what was meant to be a simple skirmish against bandits quickly spirals into an unimaginable trial. I Can't Stand Being Your Childhood Friend Volume 1. Aoi and Ryota have been friends for as long as they can remember, so when it comes time to head off to college, it only makes sense for them to room together. Practically joined at the hip, they are convinced that their relationship will stay the same forever. Until one day, Aoi wakes up to find Ryota leaning in to kiss him. Now Aoi must unpack this bewildering development, but he just can't seem to forget Ryota's touch. Reborn Rich, Volume 4. Leveraging his knowledge of future events, Dojun managed to turn a modest gift from his super-rich grandfather into the seeds of an investment empire. His ambition is limitless. He'll stop at nothing to build a company big enough to rival his grandfather's own gigantic Sunyang Group. And with so many scheming relatives lurking in the wings, his very survival may depend on it. As he puts the finishing touches on a high-stakes deal to create a new automotive giant, Dojun knows a much bigger struggle looms on the horizon. The Korean economy collapsed in the 1990s, and simply weathering the storm won't be enough. With enough American dollars in hand, Dojun can turn the crisis into a massive opportunity. Malevolent Spirits Mononogatari Volume 12. The battle with the paper umbrellas turns drastic when they reveal their trump card. Hyoma gives everything he's got to protect Botan, but as more and more umbrellas join the fray, his odds of winning, or even coming out of the fight alive, dwindle. Meanwhile, Botan's been holding on to a secret that could turn the tide of her own struggle with the Maribito inside her. Can she confront the truth, or is it too late? The Lady Knight and the Beast-Eared Child, Volume 4. Olivia's mysterious past slowly reveals itself as she finally reunites with Luna, her long-lost sister in arms. The moment is fleeting though, as a mysterious woman launches a surprise attack. However, there appears to be a connection between Luna and the devious shapeshifter. Olivia reaches out to Lala, the sorceress, hoping the two of them can free their old friend from her captor. But Olivia has her young apprentice Noah to think about. Can she save someone from her past without compromising her future? Hate Me But Let Me Stay, Volume 5. Naoto and Hazuki's family continues to grow with the birth of their second son, Aoi, but not everyone is happy about the new baby in the house. No longer the centre of attention, a jealous Minato struggles to adjust to his new role as big brother, causing all sorts of headaches for his parents. Later, Shizuku departs for an overnight school camping trip, where things get tense when her Amiga friend, Daiki, is bullied by their classmates. Determined to protect Daiki, Shizuku takes a stand. My Dear Detective Mitsuko's Case Files Volume 4. Mitsuko, Japan's first female detective, and her assistant, Saku, the heir of Yoshida Department Store, are keeping busy with what seems to be a minor case. Someone is tearing down advertisements for a new beauty treatment, leading Mitsuko to the Imperial University to ask questions. There, the detective is trapped by a suspicious student with rose-coloured fingernails. Can Mitsuko keep the situation from turning ugly before it's too late? Only I Know the World is Ending and Getting Killed by Rampaging Beasts Only Makes Me Stronger, Volume 3. Why survive the apocalypse alone when you can do it alongside your crush? Having watched Akira defeat the Minotaur on his own, Nao asks to team up with him to take on the next boss together. But with her now having gained access to Akira's time-looping powers, she must endure the same traumatic experiences he's been suffering through. Classmates Volume 7, Home. Kusakabe and Sajo have gone from being classmates to boyfriends to getting married. And now that they're living together, they're still learning new things about each other and what it means to love another person. This is a collection of short stories featuring the cast of the Modern Boys love classic, Classmates. From Tokyo Pop, The Margrave's Daughter and the Enemy Prince Volume 5. As Theo Eclipse's machinations grow even more sinister, it's time for Anna and Kenneth to put their plans in motion. Tensions rise as the Grand Tea Party approaches, where Prince Kenneth must declare his engagement to Iris Eclipse, or else risk his mother's safety. With the king under Penelope Eclipse's control, monitored closely by Theo himself, the Eclipses seem perilously close to seizing full control of Albion. However, Anna and Kenneth have their own mission in mind. With Anna's help, Kenneth must recruit the members of the Salon to support his overthrow of the throne. In order to persuade them in time for the party, Anna must become that which she's avoided all her life, an impeccable lady. I Wanna Love You, Kiss You, Bite You. When Omega Akihiro and Alpha Rhea are pushed into an engagement arranged by their parents, they're doubtful they can ever be happy together. But as they get to know each other, their reluctance shifts into something else. Their passion verges on obsession. Every moment apart is spent yearning to be together again, affecting their ability to concentrate on the rest of their studies and relationships. As their feelings grow, they will have to push past the fears and expectations they have for each other and themselves to discover a love they never thought possible. The love we share. In the aftermath of a tragedy, Takumi Machi is left to raise 2-year-old Kokoa by himself, while struggling to make ends meet and staggering through the unfamiliar landscape of parenting. Machi collapses in the street, only to be rescued by an old schoolmate, Ikuto Mihiro. The good-natured Mihiro offers to house Machi and Kokoa until they get back on their feet, but Machi is skeptical of his motives. What sort of person would go to such lengths without expecting anything in return? In spite of his doubts, with Mihiro by his side, Machi works to build a life for himself and Kokoa, untangling past trauma and learning what it really means to be family. Real-time fever. Shy college student Shizuka moonlights as Shiro online, anonymously broadcasting erotic content to his followers. Of all his followers, Kuro is by far his favourite, a dark-haired hottie who's always first to leave a comment. One night, while fantasizing about Kuro, Shizuka accidentally misdials. Kuro then reveals himself to be Kurosaki, Shizuka's classmate and Mr. Popular. Thinking he's being blackmailed, Shizuka agrees to be Kurosaki's project partner, but Kurosaki has an agenda of his own in mind. My fluffy, moody crush. In a world where humans and demi-humans coexist in a day-to-day life, Ko is a half-human, half-vampire who works at a cafe. Following a traumatic incident in childhood, he's been avoiding making personal connections with humans because, well, their blood smells delicious. One day, his childhood friend Itsuki reappears in his life and starts working at the cafe. Itsuki is determined to rekindle their friendship, but Ko must keep his distance to avoid putting Itsuki in a perilous position as he did in childhood. Monster and Ghost Volume 1. Tsubaki Koton is a monster, a violent delinquent with a chilling past and a terrifying image to match. No other student dares to approach him, not even now he's transferred to a new high school. His anti-heroic acts of selflessness end only in bloodshed and rumours that spiral out of control. But one night he's followed home by a stranger who sets out to change his life for good. This boy, stubborn and hauntingly beautiful, is the pure-hearted Kabuto Yuki with his stunning jewel-like eyes that see past Tsubaki's fearsome charade. But although someone finally sees Tsubaki for who he really is, Kabuto cannot be seen at all. After all, Kabuto is a ghost. The Prince is in the Villainess's Way, Volume 4. The wise princess, Iris, has a secret. She was formerly the warrior princess Fiona, who is set to meet a terrible fate. Armed with the knowledge of what's yet to come, Iris aims to save the new Fiona, but how can she prepare for a future that's already been altered? Meanwhile, Iris faces another potential threat when a lady of the nobility appears before her and claims to be her rival in love. If this noblewoman truly seeks to claim the throne, Iris must stay on guard. From Square Enix, The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten Volume 4. Since Amane has no plans to visit his parents over the New Year's break, they're coming to him. His mother is as excited as ever to see Mahiru again, but will his father approve of the mysterious girl next door? God-Slaying Demon King Volume 3. Hiram, the strongest demon king in history and ruler over all of demonkind, refused to obey the demon god's demand for sacrifices. A fierce battle ensued, which ended with Hiram losing his life. 5 centuries later, Hiram successfully reincarnates himself as a young human with his magical powers intact. After an assassination attempt while visiting the kingdom of Ortaville, Hiram uncovers a plot by the Chancellor who has designs on enhancing his power. But a shocking metamorphosis reveals the Chancellor to be nothing more than a pawn being controlled by an old nemesis. Love in the Palm of His Hand Volume 2. Fujinaga is determined to give acting one last try as he performs in a stage play adaptation of a manga series. But his nerves get the better of him when he realises that Keito will be there in the audience. While Fujinaga's talent is finally garnering him some public recognition, his worries and loneliness begin to eat him up from the inside. Can the special language he and Keito share form a bridge between them and help him solve his frustrations? The Apothecary Diaries Volume 4. Mao Mao returns to the Jade Palace, only to find a grave problem staring her in the face. Mere weeks before the heavily pregnant consort Gyokyo is due to bear her child, Mao Mao deduces that all is not well with the coming birth of the new Imperial edition. But even with her skills, Mao Mao knows she isn't up to the momentous task of seeing her lady through this trial. Who to turn to then? Wash It All Away Volume 4. Wakana discovers her friend and customer, Asami Yagara, is Nairo's homeroom teacher, while Nairo continues to sport Kinmei Cleaning's social media presence. Could a plushie that Nairo and Wakana found offer a clue to the business that formerly occupied the Kinmei cleaning space? Tokyo Aliens Volume 9. A wave of alien abductions is sweeping Tokyo, but this time it's Earthlings at risk of being kidnapped. Those responsible for the abductions are running a black market auction and selling Earthlings to the highest bidder. When AMO trainee Akira Gunji becomes one of their captives, his partner Sho Tenkubashi turns to the informants Yuen and Meimei for help. Unfortunately, rescuing Akira may come at a very steep price: Tenkubashi's life. My Isekai Life Volume 21. Yuji Sano was a normal guy working a soul-sucking 9-to-5 job when he finally found himself transported to a fantasy world where he restarted his life as a monster tamer. While enrolled at the Royal Academy, Yuji finds himself forced to participate in a school field trip from hell. Faced with the prospect of slowly starving to death, Yuji realizes that he'll have to work with his classmates if they're to survive this diabolical walk through the woods. So those are most of the manga and manhwa releases for the first half of October. As always, if you want to use the code Jay'sManga to get an extra 5% off at SciFier.com, feel free to use that code. I hope you found some volumes there that you want to buy. I know I certainly have. Have a fantastic manga buying month, everyone. Bye!